doing? Dan Fitch, Harlem 19, here to make hits. God, I love saying that. I remember, man, I feel horrible. I feel great, but anyway, this video right here is the importance of family, part 2. Okay, when it comes to family, you want to hold them close. You know, nothing's more closer than the blood to your skin. That combo. But family at times can be a bit of a pain, and not every family member can be trusted. The way I look at it is this: you want to pretty much keep your guard up, but still, family is the closest thing you have. But even people that are like supposedly family to you, but they're not related by blood, they're related by a relationship of years of understanding. Pretty much the way I look at it is, your mother and father, they raise you, am I right? Or whatever your circumstances is. I don't judge, I don't know. I have quite circumstances myself based on these videos. You know, the mother and father, they play that key component in your life. Because an individual with one of those two pieces missing is not going to live the full valued life they want to. Because a lot of guys act a bit strange when they don't have their fathers in their life. They act a bit weird on some real serious stuff, and people bug out. They don't have that influence they need. They don't have that proper teaching and guidance from a male's perspective. They only have it from the female's perspective. When a proper relationship between a mother, father, and a child, whether male or female child, they need both parents. I'm happy to have had my mother and father throughout my life. Though my father, I have not had him consecutively over the 20 years, but I had him throughout that 20 years. Took a leave of absence, not seeing him because of issues between him and my mother. That's me. But I know people that hate their fathers, or I knew people at the time that just couldn't stand their parents. You feel me? And it's like, wow, like, you really have to think about it and say, like, oh, that's tough, that's rough. And when you have a brother and sister, you want to definitely look after your siblings, because the siblings, especially if you're an older sibling, play a very important role in your life, because they're part of that family. They're a generation that, God willing, would make it even when you don't in life, and carry out that name, that legacy. Me, alright, I'm talking about myself here. Even though this is my video, I want to, give people what they want to hear based on these topics. These are very important topics that we all face. And, alright, I'm African American, Mexican American, as well as Native American, Cherokee Nation, Cherokee tribe. My mother and father are both African American, as well as Native American, and they happen to both coincidentally be from the Cherokee tribe based on their relatives from the past's relationships and bloodlines. My mother is part Mexican through blood, through my great-grandfather on her mother's side. I, being 5'9", I am not tall, but I'm not short. My skin complexion is obviously blended between my mother and father through the genes, through obvious chromosomes. But I have, like, that organization. It's more for my father than my mother, but my mother, she has an organized side as well when it comes to certain factors. So, certain things can be inherited through family, and it's very important that, a lot of guys, what I don't understand is, how can you, like, abandon your children when you help a woman make? These guys do not get it. These guys are ignorant when it comes to things of that concept, that nature. And it bothers me so much. It bothers me so much because a child will never fully get that nourishment, that training that they need from their father if the mother's the only one around. It's not enough. And nowadays a lot of guys and females, they need that strong foundation. They need that male figure, that person that keeps the household strong. And it's tough. And the way I look at it is, how can you do such a horrible thing to your your child? But it is what it is, and not everybody's the same way. There are good fathers out there. I know some. I know a lot. My own father's not a bad guy. Probably the best friend I've ever had. He's like a brother to me. He's like a mentor. We share different similarities. We have our differences. We rarely argue. We never argued at all. We disagree on things, but never that crazy or serious. And me and my father have a bond that's strong because when I was born, my father told me, he told me when I was born, my mom gave birth to me in 1990, that he looked into my eyes and I looked into his eyes, and there was a bond there that, other fathers and sons may not necessarily get that early in the child's life. And it's special. And me and my father have always been close. We play our sports together. We watch TV. We hang out. We bond. We have that father-son relationship that not many guys nowadays, especially in New York City, have. And it's sad because I'm not just ranting or being arrogant. I don't even live with my father. And I didn't have him all of my life to really fully grow. So, I was more with my mother than anybody else throughout my younger years. I'm just saying, though, how important that peace, having a father in your life, really is. A lot of people, like, my father passed away, my mother passed away. That's tragedy. That's something that maybe God wanted to happen in order for you to grow and maybe put someone else in your life to represent or replace that figure of your parents. But a lot of individuals like myself, oh, man. Sorry. A lot of individuals like myself do not like no one replacing their mother or father. No one replaces my mother. I call them auntie. I call them miss or mister. No one will never replace my mother or father but the Lord Jesus Christ as that figure, as far as that spiritual figure. But I refuse to have anyone replace my mother and father. You can call me your son, but it doesn't mean I call you my father. I call you an uncle, or I call you by your last name, like Mr. This, Mr. That. If you look out for me over the years, I do appreciate it, and I will give back in my respects and honors. But, nah, I definitely, the way I look at it is like, no one replaces my mother and father, because even though I've had my differences with both parents, no one can replace what they've given to me. They've given me life. They've given me knowledge. They've given me a lot of things. They've given me materialistic items. They've given me spiritual wisdom. They've given me just a breath of life together. And God gave me to them and put them together to have me for whatever reasons. And I still try to see what really the reason why he put my mother and father, who are no longer together after several years together. My father's with my stepmother, and he's been with her for almost 11 years. And the way I look at it is, no one can never replace my parents. God, forbid they pass. Well, everybody passes on, everybody dies, but no one will ever replace my parents, even if people try to plant that in my mind. You can never tell me who's my mother and father when I know my mother and father is Darlene and Stanley. And that's how it always will be. And family is so important, because if you have family, you have trust, you have respect, you have that bond that you don't get with friends. Friends stab you in the back. Not that family members don't. There's a lot of craziness going on in the media and the news, and even things around. If you observe it, you know people with their own circumstances and situations that they have issues with their family members. We all have that delusional. We have crazy families. That's just the inequality that life brings, pretty much. You have to really think about it this way. Though family there are pros and cons to having to being close to your family. You want to understand what those pros and cons are before you judge and you make assumptions and before you act on certain things. You want to research it yourself. You want to really get to know family members from the start, because if you get to know them later in your life, things might seem a bit fishy because you don't know them unless you're told. So it's definitely a matter of research. Everything is based on some form of research or some form of finding things out, using your mind to put pieces together, you know? So it's pretty much, that's how I would look at it. And on this note, I'm going to end this video. But this right here is the importance of family part 2. I might come out with some other parts in the future based on circumstances. Thank you. Harlem 19, Dan Fitz, here to make hits.